A huge shout out to the overthinkers. An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers. Shout out Bafana too.
Thank you, overthinkers.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Shout out to the overthinkers.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke kuphume buyakhula nizinja nikho yazini as overthink
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it. I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one.
Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is Mokwena. I am your host, and this show is a place where, we can meet and speak about something that's really close to our hearts, which is South African football, and then every now and then, I may go and dabble in what is happening overseas in Europe and elsewhere in the world. Guys, the show is on every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. You will find me here speaking about whatever we're speaking about, but it's not just me. It's a very interactive show. And it's interactive because you guys can jump in and add your voices to the show live. And if you want to do that, the option is available on TikTok. You have to be following me on TikTok and join me on TikTok right now. For those who are watching on YouTube, then click on the button at the bottom of the screen that says multi-guest. Jump in and let's have a conversation about whatever it is we're speaking about on the day. Now, today's big headline topic is what makes a quality player. What makes a quality player? What is it that players have to have for us to call them quality? Because there's been this big conversation about who is quality and bringing in quality, and these ones are not good and those ones are not good. That's what we're going to discuss today. Now, I do know what makes a quality time for myself on the show, and that is if you could please tap the screen as much as possible. Tap it. And then if you could please also rumela di gift January. Send some roses. I've seen lions and trains, man. People are winning 250,000 according to Bongs. Welcome. But I want to first start off with some news. Let's speak a little bit about the news. I would love to bring in a couple of topics and then just very quickly touch on them. So I want to hear from you guys. You'll be able to jump in and tell me what you think about the stories we're covering. And then, of course, we'll finish it off for just 30 minutes or so. Then we'll finish it off with the big topic and have the proper conversation. So let's start off with some news. First topic up, Royal AM apparently is going through some problems, and the players are on strike. There was an announcement made by Chipa, was it today, where they released a statement saying that, hey, Ikemiabo was just out of the blue. It was cancelled, and now we're finding out that allegedly there are players that are on strike right now because they have not been paid for December, which for the PSL has to be deja vu, guys. Didn't we just go through a December situation with Moroka Swallows last year? And again, we call to question what is happening in our league, guys. What is happening in our league that now we get to points where players have to strike, where people are not being paid? Yes, there's alleged SARS problems that Kiza is going through, but when it starts affecting the team, what happens then? And I'd love to get one or two people to just jump in and tell me a little bit about what they feel about these stories. Royal AM, of course, now Mamkize was allegedly trying to sell the team last year because she could see good financially, but now we are on the back end of a lot of problems that are happening at Royal AM. They're currently in the middle of a transfer ban. They're currently in the middle of a transfer ban. They need to pay Unekovic 12 million, if I'm not mistaken. And apparently, SARS is knocking on Mamkiza's door, wanting back-owed taxes up to the tune of 40 million rand, allegedly. I have to say allegedly, guys, because I don't want to get into trouble. So how do you guys feel about another team going into financial problems after that same team profited and got the team together because Bloemfontein Celtic struggled on their own? So that's the first story for today. Royal AM struggling. It seems that people are not going to be playing. And then, of course, let me go to the next topic. Since Coach Pitso has threatened to quit Over at Esteghlal, Coach Pitso is coaching in the Persian Gulf Pro League. He's coaching a team called Esteghlal. But apparently, also he has not been paid for a couple of months now. And his team has allegedly given that team, his legal team has given his football team 15 days to pay up. Now, some of the problems that are coming from this is because apparently the outgoing chairman of Esteghlal, did not put funds into the team. Lo Hambai. He was like, no, screw you guys. I'm not giving any money to this team anymore. And now that team is scrambling to try to get money in so that they can resolve this situation. Coach Pitso is on a 9-match unbeaten run with that team. That team was flirting with the relegation when he took over. And now they're looking really good. Does this not mean, guys, okay, two things stand out to me here. Number one, first thing, yeah, these problems exist anyway, don't they? Going outside doesn't mean that you're going to do any better in terms of payment. We've heard now about even South African players. We saw what happened with mokwena over there mokwena is in Tunisia, where there was a little bit of a problem with his money. So Uchoriman, the PSL is actually a really nice place to be. And these problems that are creeping up, creeping up, with the teams we've had, Abo Moroka Swallows, Abo Plum Celtic, are not South African problems. Now we are seeing that all of these problems exist around the world. That's the first point that I want to speak about. The second point that I want to speak about is, Coach Pitso, man, did he do a right move going that side? Is the grass actually greener there? Because Coach Pitso has been jumping around Asia, the Middle East, jumping around, I think, trying to cement himself and maybe find a team that he can take to an Asian Champions League and maybe find a way into the Club World Cup or things like that via that route. But has he made the right choices where he's gone? Because it feels like, in as much as we say that Coach Pitso has been calculated with what he has done, hey guys, Al-Ahly, Al-Ahly, there was a problem. The first Al-Ahly. The second Al-Ahly in Saudi Arabia, he gets them promoted, they kick him out. He's had his time in Dubai, I think it was in the United Arab Emirates, and then now he's gone to the Persian Gulf and he's experiencing the same problems. Guys, what is it about Coach Pitso, and can we start mentioning his representation himself as to the decisions he's made? And has Coach Pitso taken himself out of being one of the greatest coaches that we're going to have, that we'd ever have in Africa, by making these moves? And I guess the other big question is Rulani headed down the same road? Coach Rulani, of course, at Casablanca, chose to go to an African team, similar to what Coach Pitso had done, one of the giants of African football. And he's also struggling a little bit, trying to save face there, steady the ship. But the question begs, where does he go from there? Coach Pitso won 2 Champions Leagues with Al-Ahly and could not find himself into Europe, could not find his way into Europe, could not find his way into places where they'd pay him properly. He had to now become the Sam Allardyce of Saudi Arabia. And now he's becoming the Sam Allardyce, the Dan Malisela of the Gulf, because it seems like he's not going to be paid here. What is the problem, guys? Do we have issues in Jay when it comes to picking teams and picking our futures? And also, I'm a contract, guys. I'm a contract to Atini. When this is happening every single time. Let me see who's here so we can just have a quick chat before we get into the main topic of tonight, which is going to be what makes a quality player. Ongam, welcome to the show. How are you, my brother?
I'm good, Oti. Am I clear on that side?
You are perfectly clear. Which story do you want to jump in on, Royal AM or Coach Pitso?
I just want to start with the issue of Royal AM. Royal AM has been struggling for the past months. Even their cars and everything has been taken by SARS. I think there's nothing going well in that side of Mam Kize. He's tried to forcing things, but it's not working for him, for her. So it's quite concerning. And the club will be taken now by SARS and sell it to someone that can run the club and then get the money. So there's nothing going well in that side of Royal. And I think they bought the club without knowing how to manage it. because those problems has been happening for the longest time. But they were not clear in that space of a time. So I think the most important thing that Mamkis at the time they wanted to buy this team, they were not ready with the challenges that they will face ahead of it to control the team and making sure that there is enough budget to pay the players and also enough budget to pay players when they get fines. So I think that's one of the things that is happening. And also another thing that is it's that thing of
before you move on, Ongam, I want to ask you about the PSL. Another year, another team. Sponabo Swallows, Sponabo Celtic. We've seen so many teams every single year. There seems to be one that always falls out because of finances or finds troubles. Not to say that Royal AM will fall out. These are still alleged. I don't want us to get into trouble. But what can the PSL do to stop these things, Pella, every year?
My own observation, I think the first thing, it's not the PSL problem, it's a team problem. The people that are controlling the teams must make sure that they have better financial statuses to make sure that they control the teams better, they make everything in a way whereby they don't find themselves in a way where they have to pay in finances for players. Kaizer Chiefs, who can say Kaizer Chiefs is not willing to buy players, buying free agents. I think that's one of the things. They don't want to see themselves in those situations. Maybe other things.
The league can't be allowing this to happen.
I'm just making an example.
The league can't be allowing this to happen.
It's all about sometimes being stingy and making sure that your financial problem, you manage them in the very better way. I think we need to give Kumo more deep and see his view. Maybe
Kumo, I want you to come in
the line.
For time's sake, Kumo, I want you to come in and speak to me about Pitso. How do you feel about the Pitso story that we have just covered now? Hi, man, welcome.
How's it, everybody? I hope everyone is well. No, but we can't take away what Pitso has done for us in terms of like as a coach, especially with Sundowns. So we always gonna hold him in high regards. But this person bent a lot of bridges. This person, Otekawati, there was no reason for him to go to Ahly. What is your challenge? I mean, like, I'm gonna quote another controversial show name, but actually agree. Now this guy I even forgot the name because Kiitiga Nkuliloko my brother. Why is again? So Nkuliloko are especially if you watch how the North African teams have won the CAF Champions League, and there's a reason why they struggle with sponsorship and actually to sell that package because it's hooliganism. There's nothing nice to watch about that league. We always complain about Tunisian clubs, Morocco, and Egypt and so forth. Ne? So back to Pitso Mosimane. Pitso Motsepe, umufile chalete etelle, you know Motsepe has long money. And I want this guy to be the next Alex Ferguson. This guy, uwine, utere Sundowns so ejo arentsago e dakhulu arefan toena le Champions League. So tell me, okra chalete we kriyan, ne? File 8 meter just for renewing your contract. Qual Ahly probably gonna get the same amount of money. Or challenge again, because of course Ahly, it's a guarantee you're gonna win the league. It's a guarantee you're gonna win the Champions League. So what's Amaya Oya guy? Luckily for him, we look at Ahly, Agrea, and I'm doing a code for those who can see me. A better opportunity. I go the Arab League, ne? Man, sorry, okay. But a black man, as long as not some Arab, Roto wants our way in. But Montama Islam. aba montsha Muslim or we no nan totally etsang e ka mo o re thusitse o e reka mo khone. If I
Okay.
was Pitso, I would have stayed in Deltrem one talohang.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia because now guy okay Iran or some idiotic league happen and look what's happening with them.
Evan.
No, but again, Nate, like like none of us would have been privy to that league. You get my point. So let the way na handle media.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like big personalities. I don't care if someone is not humble. I actually love people who are very outspoken.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between being outspoken and being disrespectful to your former employees, especially powerful ones like Motsepe. Maybe what if Motsepe and I grow?
No, go on, Kubo. Finish it off there. Kubo, can you hear me? You see now. Veli Lemtagama, oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, next time,
Yeah, no South Carolina, maybe in Tate Motsepe go at the same time.
We don't want to do it. So as I was saying, okay, I'm gonna try and repeat that quickly. If I was Motsepe, and I'm not saying Motsepe is doing it. If I was Motsepe, I would definitely sabotage Pitso because why? I'm number 2 in FIFA, I'm number 1 in CAF, and I've got all these connections and all this money. Obviously, I won't fight with you publicly, but if you actually are a guy who believes in conspiracy theories, this guy, he embarrassed the Motsepe family, he embarrassed Sundowns, he embarrassed him publicly. Wouldn't you, George? Because I'm very petty, I would do it. Len, I would sabotage you. I would sabotage you behind behind closed doors because I know who are the heads of states who could their respective federations. But as a man and as a black man, I feel for Pitso. When I feel for Pitso, he's really done a lot for us, and for Africans and Africa as a whole. Hopefully, I don't know, man. He deserves so much more. But still, bamolaya, or like he it's a karma. Namaste. I get it sharp.
Let me jump in. Guys, just so that if you don't know, just look at Kumo's profile picture there. You'll know where he's coming from. Let me go to Umtakababa. Veli.
Mtakababa kunjani?
Man ngimnandi man Umtakababa. Nazi indaba. Royal AM, nangu Pitso. Yenzakalani?
Awube kancane ngabongelele awusasho ukuthi i-VAR was firstly implemented in Tembisa
Phillies games.
Hey, balela abuthi khutshwa nabo lokhunjana lapho yana.
Ayidla yena umalume Khutso.
Abazi ukuthi i-VAR seyikhona benekane kasi. Akanyiwa straight.
Mara ngena ule ndaba man velile mara nawe.
No man. Ayeka Pitso ayime kancane. Ayime kancane. Ngizodila ngale la ekhaya. Yaza ngaphandle saza ngizithanda mina indaba zabantu lezi abale ngaphandle. Ngiyayithi nje mangila ekhaya ngizothi ngibambe nje eka Mam Keys. It's a sad story.
Yeah.
It's a sad story because mangathi uyayibheka le ndaba le mele ubuye uqala uyibheke ukuthi iqale kuphi. Before even she could even come to football, the type of businesses that she's doing, ukuthi are they profitable enough or beneficial enough in order to sustain you in running a football business? Because a football business is something else.
Yeah.
It's really something else. So it will need you to be well vested on it and also vested as a business man. Like man, a businessman or a business person, like really a business person whereby you could crack the numbers, everything, and the ins and outs of that business.
Yeah.
And you handle the bull by its horn. So yeah. So and the amount of bigger PSL and before they could even buy status Celtic. Remember they they once they're supposed to be promoted, ne?
Yeah. He was in disciplinary.
But remember they were supposed to be promoted, not even wasting money by status. They were
Yeah.
supposed to be promoted without even wasting millions of money to buy to buy status. So and that was
Something
sad.
happened.
But something
Something
happened.
happened.
I'm a wishy-wish, I'm a something. Siyazi the ends again. Even though Motaung history, they've been in Gugugu, Bazama, the time they've tried before.
Yeah.
Asakanila Galwampisana with the Royal Eagles, of which they've tried, but they failed. But they did try Mine Royal M, and then up until they bought a status, of which we know sometimes Gunzima, but Bonava Bangen. So running a team, they needed a proper business model to run their team, especially if you don't have sponsors. Because the sponsors, they was running it from their money, from their business money. So by not having a sponsor, running a PSL team, your business model needs to be proper. We've seen some of the business models that are working for other teams, like Polokwane City.
I saw somebody in the comments saying, Team Sugas.
Team Sugas naye uyangithola and with this other team Babina Nok. What's he in Kamalai?
Oh, he's Kukun.
Sisi Kukun. Uyangithola.
Yeah.
We might not know their owners, we might not know what they're doing, but the business model it seems to be working for their team. So and the amount I pay to Umamkize azange imsebenzele.
Yeah.
But also the advantage amanye abe now in terms of his businesses. He suffered the very circumstances previous owner Celtics.
Shabalala.
We know what type of businesses are they operating Shabalala, whereby when the certain regimes fall in Free State, when the certain regime fall.
Allegedly.
No,
Hey, please. Hey.
Bagot iqiniso nje mntakababa.
Mina nginamali, very nginamali.
No, angizange sikhuluma ngamagama abantu, but we just said good when the certain regime fall in the Orange Free State, then it leads in most cases it leads into this.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately what nakhona umamkhize because her businesses is lawanga futhi nayo. In the kingdom of the Zululand. And it also happened with the other regime falls again from the same Kwagogo. It also affected her in other ways around. We are told. Even though they've tried by doing a dodgy deal kumsunduzi, of which I don't blame it. They tried. By that Sundowns municipality deal Maritzburg by bringing the team to Maritzburg.
33 million over 3 years.
Yes, instead of just pumping more money to Maritzburg United and try to bring it back because it was more, I think the status was compared to LM Besing Onyan. They could have just done better with that, but they couldn't save it up until Bazola Glesima Baguso Manje. So which is unfortunate.
But
because
then for
affecting families and it's affecting PSL kumanje futhi yabo.
Ngifuna ukubuza ngalokho velile. Just for time's sake before singena kwindaba enkulu. Ngifuna ukubuza iPSL Mamkhize aside, all of those things aside. This is now how many teams that are falling because of finances. Do you think that there's anything the PSL could do to control these type of situations?
PSL has to do something to control this type of finances, especially when the guys that are buying the statuses to see if they are financially viable to run a PSL team. Or unless if they could introduce something like sort of like financial fair play or what, but something that will not allow them to spend imali engekho. Because as I've said, it depends on the type of business model that we're going to use in terms of identifying the type of personnel that you are going to have, the players that you are going to buy. How are you willing to cap salary yakho? Like if you've got a police officer, okay, my salary is capped at 100,000 rand per player. If noma ngeza uJunior Khanye retire abuye ukuze bani, he knows ukuthi Mokwena United the salary is capped at 100,000. I won't get more than that. So ngizodlala khona, if I'm ngithola umsebenzi khona, then I'll be better, because now it will be in sync with what the PSL is giving them as a monthly grant. Uyangithola? Ingabi like maybe let's say like for a salary you can use like they say 60 or 70% of the salary grant. Besides imali ozoyigenerate through ama-gate taking, something like that probably that could work, because we cannot say ukuthi kumele basecuritize kangaka, because it will depend who wants to invest into a football business. Because whether we like it or not, in this country as Pilago, football is still a black man's sport, and we know good economy how is still so skewed. Whether we like it or not, if we read these things each and every day, if you're going to be politically correct or incorrect, you know how these emails are of which people are investing, and they're investing on what type of investment and how big are they prepared to go. So
yeah.
We still need to back. We are not there, even though the World Cup did try at least bring some that thing. They tried. At that time it was easy to get a sponsorship because all eyes were in South Africa with regard to World Cup. That's why you see all the banks, the big four banks, they're just fighting to sponsor EPSL. Everyone was doing that. So but that's why you'll find me in most cases I will have a bigger problem with the issue of example address group in the hands of Ushipambengis. Uyayibona ibhizinisi yakho is still struggling even to get sponsorship, to get those finances, to get that professionalism. Surely you can do better, because this is your business, it's not ours. CPSL is their business. As the board of directors, they can do better than just doing that. You can just not post a letter and say the PSL has postponed match without no reason. Like really, I know what's happening, but I'm not a chairman of any soccer team. But I know what's happening. I think Ushipambeng could have just addressed that issue better, because it's not to say ukuthi base Nelson Mandela based on Bamile Royal Mizofika bazodlala. Abeke ground is 4 days before. You could just address that thing better without being dramatic and being a drama queen. But
One time. Let me bring in Coach Azza. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, bro?
I'm good. Coach, which story do you want to address? Royal AM players on strike, or Coach Pitso and his situation that he finds himself in?
Let's start with the Royal AM players on strike, brother. But then I think the situation has been going on for a very long time, because if you notice their first season when they bought the status from Bloemfontein Celtic, you saw how well they started and paying players cash on the field, doing all this sort of stuff. And then but I do believe that their biggest problem was purchasing that status.
Okay.
Because the Royal AM in the National First Division was performing very well. It was not a club that was ending on mid-table, because that season I do remember they were supposed to be promoted.
Yeah.
But however, they were not, because of, I don't know what case or something like that.
They were meant to play the playoffs and they refused after that thing because of whatever happened. Yeah.
Yes, and then they ended up purchasing the status of Bloemfontein Celtics. And then what happened is that on the first season, yes, they did well. And I did mention that for me, this team it's not gonna last. Yes, they did start very well. They built up from the players that they called from Bloemfontein Celtic. They had that momentum and also that motivation of being maybe paid cash every game. You know you're gonna get money, and you see. So in their second season, that's when I noticed that no, man, there's something going on, especially after their current coach right now, John Maduka, resigned and John Maritzburg.
Yeah.
And then I think they started making decisions without the chairman not knowing. I heard those rumors when Cabozon was appointed.
And then
yes, and then they brought in also Dan Dance as the co-coach and stuff. And then he also did not last. He resigned. He resigned, if you noticed.
But he didn't have a contract, apparently.
Yeah. So the thing is now is that they started losing also players that were very crucial in their first season. And I always say that thing that it's better to start from the bottom and build your way up rather than starting from the top and then you end up in the bottom. Because that's the case with the Royal AM right now. And now this issue with the unpaid salaries and also this transfer ban, also it's something that has been going on in South African football. I don't know which club was once banned from registering players here in PSL.
Oh, Kaizer Chiefs,
Yes,
was banned
it was
at some
Kaizer Chiefs.
point.
Yes, also Kaizer Chiefs. But if you notice with Kaizer Chiefs, what happened is that they brought in some players from their development. And that was the good thing about them, that they had a development under 13s, 15s, 17, 19s, and also 21s. If you notice, Royal AM only had a reserve team. They didn't have like those development teams like Amazulu under 19s, whereby let's say I can't register players, so let me go and look into the academy. Royal AM players in the reserve team, after a season, I'm definitely sure that they were only given a season contract, and then after the season, once the contract ends, they separate with the club and maybe join the APC Motsepe teams or the regional teams. I think that was the case with the Royal AM reserve team players. Hence, now I'm saying that if they had at least had like a proper development teams, they wouldn't struggle to own players that much, because now the thing is with them now is that they only have limited players. If you notice now their squad is being dominated. Even the chairman is starting himself, of which for me, on my opinion, the chairman doesn't deserve to start.
So then tell me, here's my issue. I see Royal AM, but we've seen so many other teams that have similar structures, they've fallen away now, but when things have gone wrong, where does the PSL step in here? Because at the end of the day, man, the product is the most important thing. And if every year it's Swallows, last year it's Royal AM, this year it's Bloemfontein Celtic, it's TTM, it's Calans, what does the PSL do to stop this?
I wouldn't say there's much, as long because I'm definitely sure PSL does give out monthly payments to the teams in PSL. And another thing, the current issue in South Africa is that we no longer having players that are moving to Europe. It's only the reason why it's because of the salaries that they are offered in the country. If you notice back then, I'm definitely sure players, you will never maybe see a player earning almost 500,000 per month in South Africa, because they were moving to Europe most of the time. But ever since we had teams like Sundowns and Kaizer Chiefs offering those high salaries, and then you see, I'm definitely sure if we were sending out most players to Europe, I'm definitely sure the young ones that are in the development wouldn't ask the salary that these guys who should be in Europe are asking from the professional teams in the PSL. Because if you notice, let's say I play for Royal AM and I play very good and I attract interest from Europe, then Sundowns comes and offers me 400,000 or 500,000 from 70,000. What's the use of me going to Europe? I'm gonna go and join Sundowns, and then when Sundowns doesn't play me, let's say Sundowns doesn't play me, I don't get much regular game time, and then they release me. Then maybe SuperSport is gonna be interested in me, and then from that 500,000 that I was earning, I'm gonna tell SuperSport that I won't take anything less than 400,000. And then SuperSport is gonna be desperate also, because they also need this type of player, because they knew how good you were. And I think that is another reason why I think the teams aren't also checking in their salary caps. Because I believe that if
go on, sorry.
Because I believe if we were sending players maybe abroad, the ones that are coming up will never, let's say a player now from the DTC or maybe from APC Motsepe League. I sign a player from APC Motsepe League. A player from APC Motsepe League will never say I want to earn 150,000, whereas in the APC Motsepe League they weren't even earning more than 20,000. But if you sign a player that was released by Sundowns or maybe Orlando Pirates or Kaizer Chiefs, I'm definitely sure that they wouldn't want to be paid less than 50% of what they were earning.
But then shouldn't the teams be, I don't know, shouldn't they spend in their means? Because for me, my biggest problem is that all of these problems happen midway through the season. Aksena Mali.
Yes.
And then there's now a huge problem that's happening. Shouldn't the PSL be policing these teams to say that Amara guys, sendeleni financials and things like that, so that we can make sure what you're doing is sustainable just for the league's sake?
Yes, because also it's damaging the league's reputation. Because if you notice, in the reserve league, there's no real aim. It's only 15 teams.
Yeah.
And even Cape Town Spurs handed in an application for them to fill in that spot for Royal AM, but I don't think it was approved by the PSM. And now also the senior team has joined the party, and I don't see it, and there's no news that the players are keen on returning back to training as of now, because I've been reading the news that the players have not yet returned to training, whereas they have a match which will be on the 11th, which is also already postponed. And I do follow Chipa, because Chipa is from my hometown. So I saw that statement that was written there that the club is disappointment after making all those arrangements. But I don't think Chipa should have addressed it that way also. They should have tried another approach. But yeah, I do get what they are saying, because yes, they have already made the arrangements, let's say. But then they should have approached it another way.
Mara Coach, I'm going to have to jump in there just for time, for time's sake. I thank you guys, to the guys that have jumped in. This is all I'll say about the two things. Before we get into the big topic for tonight. Role M, club aside, I don't really care too much about the clubs in this regard, because I think we all know what's happening around the owner and the news and all of that stuff, right? That's happening. We all know. If you read the news. I want to speak about the PSL, because EPSL up to this point doesn't seem to have ways to curb what is happening. And it's one thing for it to happen at the end of the season. I mean, Bloemfontein Celtic, if you remember correctly, Bloemfontein Celtic happened right before the season was meant to start. I think it was 2 weeks before the league started that Umamkize had bought the team and had relocated it to KZN, had to deal with the contractual situations, two teams merging, all of that stuff, right? It's one thing for it to happen then, but now when it's starting to creep in mid-season and games are being postponed, we saw Morocco Swallows, same time frame, December last year, December previous year, they got, they missed 2 games. I think one was against Golden Arrows and one was against Mamelodi Sundowns, where they couldn't play. And the league had to figure something out. And then at the end of the season, the team is sold. The league needs to address this, because I think, guys, we are all old enough here to know that these teams have accountants, these teams have lawyers, the PSL should have auditors, should have its own accountants, should have its own people that are checking on these teams over and over and over again to make sure that everything is running fine. Where I give the PSL maybe a little bit of leeway is to say that maybe they are desperate. Maybe nobody really wants to buy a PSL team. And the only people that are willing to buy or want to buy are the owners that we have now. Because if you think about it, Umamkize, it was so bad that Umamkize was in a disciplinary hearing with the PSL because they weren't doing the playoffs. In a disciplinary hearing that was going to CAS and all of that stuff, Chigi, she's allowed to buy a team in the first division. That's how desperate they were. And if you look at the history of these moves, you have to ask the PSL questions, man. TTM buys Witz's status and buys Witz, moves it to Limpopo, it's gone. Maruma Kellens buys the team, struggles financially, relegated, buys the team again. Bloemfontein Celtic struggles. Hey guys, the Morocco Swallows, it dies, essentially dies, comes back, dies again. These things can't keep happening in a professional league, and maybe we need to start asking of these teams, of the PSL, that guys, what type of research are you doing into these owners? When you look at when Chelsea was bought now, Chelsea, the owners had to go through rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds of checks and this and that to make sure I believe you have to have a certain amount of money in escrow, or you have to be able to show that you're able to run a team up to a certain point with the money that you have. You have to be able to show that you can put it away. And if ever anything happens without sponsors or whatever, you can run that. There's certain checks that you need to do that are, frankly, I don't think not being done. Go PSL. And the sad part is that our football is the worse for it because we've lost so many teams. The moment one of the owners tanks, the moment there's a political movement, the moment a company decides that they're not profitable anymore doing this thing, gone. Bidvest decided, no, we're not doing this Wits thing anymore, and Wits was gone, for example. So we can't be having a league that's so delicate, but also you watch the way that they move. You watch the way that they move. These teams, you think about Iswalos. Iswalos was bringing in Abu Kompela, was bringing in, I think, Abu Charlie, was bringing in all these players at the time when they should be looking over their shoulders to say, our finances are not right. You look at the Royal AM, the way Royal AM has been run over the past few years. Some of these teams have been in the league for long enough for us to be able to say, but guys, why didn't you build a structure that's separate from everything else? Why aren't you looking into how do I stretch my money when it comes to the teams? Why are you having situations where Royal AM is owing, 12 million, 12 or 15 million to Unekovic? And now they're in a transfer ban. Guys, these are not new teams. These are not new owners. Abo Mamkiza were owners in the first division. So maybe now we should look at all of the teams and say, but guys, what have you done in the time that you've been in the league? But anyway, I want to move on. I want to move on for time's sake so we can get into the big topic for today. The big topic for today is a very simple question. Very simple question that I want to hear from you guys. We're gonna do a rolling system where everybody's gonna come in and just tell me what you think. I may ask you a question or two, or I will ask you a question or two, and then we'll just keep it rolling. What is a quality player? It's the January window, and there's a lot of people who are speaking, and we're talking about players, and we're talking about this and quality. And you know, my team, Chiefs, we look at the players and we say they're not good quality. You need to bring in better quality. But I need to understand, and maybe we should have a conversation, or this is a conversation we're going to have, is what is quality and what makes a quality player? And if that quality, is that quality based on other factors? But I want to hear you guys, how you feel about it. So feel free to jump in. I'm going to just keep it rolling. Jump in, tell me what you think. We'll have a convo, then we'll move on to the next people and just keep it going for the show. Tabza.
OT.
How are you, my brother?
Hi.
The
relief, yeah, team how is stress, man.
The team the teams are only two. Among about the winner. Anyway. Tabza, simple question.
Yeah.
What is a quality player?
Yeah, how we live it, what is a quality player? You think it's a simple question. It's not a simple question. Understand? A quality player, it has the talent. People who think bolo but then it's your brains, how your brains work when you are in the field of play. You understand? You can have the quality first touches, quality passes, quality, but then and also how you think, fielding, how you position yourself. It's how you think, how you see things. That's what makes a quality player. How you think. The main thing is how you think. For me, that's how I see things. Because you can practice how to do your first touches. You can practice how to finish and get it right. But then the thinking, no one can give you that. You must have that. It's either you have it or not. Because I've never been taught how to think for a player. So because when you are in the field of play, you cannot. Some of the things it can be taught. Because how the situation is different. You can be told you do this, you do that, but then you come across situations tell you more about what's on go benching. That's what makes a quality player there. You talk about that you put this there.
Oh,
You
guys,
cannot
please
tell
mute
me
when you
uri
come in.
mshishiba motore, ajike kam kwa jika. You understand? You cannot tell me uri kam kumchishi ajika bamurutile uri ujiga. So this is how you beat your player and all that.
Yeah.
It's get quality along uri that's talent also. So those questions start what makes a what's a quality player. It's very difficult to unpack it and all that. You will find many definitions and explanations to what's a quality player, what makes a player quality. You understand? But then for me, the main thing it's the thinking. Without the thinking, you cannot be considered as a quality player.
Can I ask you? I'm going to ask you two questions. Number one, can a system, can a team make a player quality? And then can a system or a team hide players and make them seem like quality?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so because you find other players in a certain system or in a certain team that has a particular system flourishing and all that, thinking, okay, yeah, maybe this player is all that, but then when they move to another team where there's a different system and all that, they tend to not do that well. You understand? So I was having this conversation with my fellow colleagues today about today's football. Where it's boring. Let's be honest. It's boring because now that freedom for players to showcase their talent and their quality has been taken away altogether. Now we only see the same players because of these systems. We no longer see special players. We see normal players. They're all the same. If it's the likes of Mshishi, that's still there. But then when you look at many teams and many players, you see similarities because of it's just trap pass, move, trap pass, get into space. You no longer see anything special. Even Limodi defender will only look for that one quality, a ball playing center back, what. So now we are not exposed to different kind of players. Now they are channeling all the players to be similar, and that's unfair to other players because now they are not playing according to their strength. They're being deprived to be themselves. They want them to be like others. That's why when no, this one is not a quality player. This one is not a quality. You find a quality player, just that now he's being boxed to be a certain type of a player. So I think a system can hide a player. Star is a star, and then it can also evil a star, star. It can happen.
Tebza for Nako. I'm gonna before I bring Gustavo, guys, can you please tap the screen? Number one, tap the screen, that's it, please. And I gift the Rosignana something. Thank you to Prasten and Bulengwe. Thank you for the gifts. That's a kupari gift, guys. Kupa something. Let's have a good conversation. Let me go to Gustavo. Gustavo, the question is very simple. What is a quality player? What makes a quality player?
Quality player for me, it's one player that has most of the footballing attributes, whether from tactical to technical. You have all those things. Tactical and technical, you need to have them as a quality player. They are a must. They are a must. Aside from the talent, you can have the talent, but if you're not tactically good, you will fail the team because you'll end up making decisions that don't benefit the team. If you're not technically good, your reading of the game will be bad. You'll be making runs, but you're not supposed to be making runs. Those types of things. So if you don't have those things, good reading of the game, the technique, the trapping of the ball, then when it comes to your position, are you able to play in your position where you are placed? As a defender, are you able to defend? As a midfielder, are you able to play that midfield role of reading the game, of scanning? You know, as a striker, are you able to give us those goals? If you are required to press, are you able to press? You know, I'm not sure if you are frozen the OT or what. I'm not sure if you can still hear me. You look like you are frozen. Guys, is OT okay on your side or is it my network? Can you please confirm?
He's frozen.
It's frozen.
Yes.
Okay, but yeah, that's
Well,
quality.
carry on,
for me.
carry on. Carry
Yeah,
on.
that's quality for me. That's how I can define a quality player. Do you have most?
I'm back, guys. I'm back. Sorry.
Oh,
I heard you. Don't
thanks,
worry.
OT. Yeah. Do you have most of the footballing attributes? That's one question. Do you have
So
most?
then, so then,
in some.
So then, Gustavo, how many of these players exist realistically? Because I mean, I'm hearing most of the teams in the world and most of the fans wanting to sign 8 or 10 of these players. How many of these type of players exist? And is it something maybe you are born with? Can it be taught? Are we making a mistake that we feel as though the players must come, ready-made?
Firstly, you are born with the talent. You are never born with being tactically good. You can just play the ball. If you can't take, are you willing to give me a proper diagonal pass when it's required? That can be taught. That you have to practice. You know, some are talented in the way of passing. By ball, they know how to measure their pass. They know how to kick the ball. Shy kahle kamnandi le bhola le uyazi lo ntuzana ipower oyifakayo ku pass yakho yazi power oyifakayo ku shot yakho. You know ukuthi mawukhela ibhola awudinga shot, udinga nje ukushaya ubeke ube ne placement. You know, some of these things you can learn them. Some of these things you can learn them. You're not just born with them. There's no footballer who's just born with these things. The more you practice, that's why my player Jimmy, I practice a certain things. Now my shooting drill, now my passing drill. Those things, the more you do them, you develop the skill development, basically, essentially. You know, that's what you get from your training. And some bayenza riding, but can only take you further. For example, ubuka iplayer lefana nobani uSikhwama. Usikhwama is he a talented player? Many can say he's talented because we could see the things he can do skillfully, but at times this is not a quality player because Ukawati team, not to talk bad about him. You know, Ukawati team in the way he's playing, his time wasting, tactically is not good. He's not able to give you that pass whereby when it's needed, he will give you when he feels like now I have the space to make the pass. Namanyama player couldn't try a pass under pressure. That alone is skill nje esihlukile. So having those footballing attributes, most of them you can lack in some. You can lack in some, you know, and to go on the system quickly. A system, it either makes you great or it makes you look bad.
Okay.
It makes you great or it makes you look bad. You know, okay, player is system, okay, my instructions, because you have to do this, you have to do that. Right? If you ask a certain player, you have to press, but my levels of energy, sprinting speed, awareness, pressing already I'm coward. You know, ubuka play lifana no Lontuzana no Mabasa. His greatest attribute is goal scoring. The moment now you start asking him to make runs, I said, uyam coward. Uyam coward. You know, ubuka hope. His greatest attribute is the pressing yake, hold up play, but it's the greatest goal scoring. No, it's not greatest goal scoring. So in his position, I cannot say his quality because he's not able to do the number one attribute required for his position, which is goal scoring. Like goal scorer and a striker. You know, but yeah.
Okay. For time, let me bring it to Bongs. The question is right there. What makes a quality player? What is a quality player? Welcome.
OT, before we get into the topic straight, we have to find out whether we do have a player who comes from development and being called a wonder kid, so that we can find out, okay, is he the person to be called a quality player in the team? And are we also having those players who are the carriers of the team? Someone no, I got trust to whenever he's in the field. We know today Haleteng win. Bo the likes of Tembazwane, Dr. Kumalo, Messi, and Cristiano Ronaldo. And those type of players in South Africa.
Maranello in the world. I mean, even now, you speak about Cristiano, you speak about Messi. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, it's a lot of different people, Kawane. They can't stand out that way. Do we have those players, man? Are we asking too much from the players, man?
I still think Renaleto because Wabona Bomufuking are trying to be the team's carrier, say Baba Lake Alebona Pizza. Bo Duo there Wabona at Chiefs, but try over those people Barretlaba happen if we need them in the field. So we do have those quality players. It's just that we should have the right training and the right systems who fit in a team. Because nowadays, Haraboni coaches by builder around someone. For example, Sundowns, so Evapala, this chameleon football, which used to fit Zwane very well because in Eliana, the star of the team.
Yeah.
Yes, Oti.
So, okay, Bongs, do we give some players credit for being quality just for just? Because I hear people, for example, saying that Chiefs must sign quality. Ne? Quality, does Chiefs have a responsibility to make that player quality?
Yeah, they do have responsibility, and it starts back to development because having to develop a player is a very important thing when it comes to football. Because Hagan Moto are developed, he can master the game and become a player. Whenever this guy is there, because right now Pirates a player, a good like Bo Unko Tele Mufuki.
Yeah.
Let's send down Suliana into Hunter some good players. All that's needed is for training and belief from coach Juliano. Have a chance, they can deliver for the team.
Okay. Can I ask you something quickly, Bongs, before you go? Is our idea of quality based? Is our idea of quality based on how much we see these players? Like, for example, we watch Mamelodi Sundowns every day. We watch Sundowns, we watch Chiefs, we watch Pirates. Is this idea also tied to that? Because maybe there's a star KwaMaZulu, for example, that we don't know about. Does that make that player less quality that we don't know them like that? How much does fame play into this?
Fame plays a lot, but you can't take fame to your head because Bonaba Tuatan and Levo Junior Khanye, they took it to their head and now they are drinking their fame away. They had to start again a fresh, but it was too late for them. But the Naletwana from other teams, because right now Chiefs Bare Babatabo Apoli, Sebo, Bosandown Soba Reina, say there are players like Bo Basedini batting in other teams.
Yeah.
Baguti Lebona to become quality players. So it's not only Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns and Banale quality players. Both Stellenbosch are creating players that are quality. Because both teams that turn level Pirates are buying Bofang Roye and Sundowns just acquired Reina and is doing very well at Sundowns.
Okay. No, Bongs, for time's sake, let me bring in Ongama. Ongama, I've got 2 questions for you. What makes a quality player, number 1? And then, how many of these players exist in the world? Are we not overstating how many of these guys exist if it is indeed such a special thing?
According to me, when I would see equality player, it's a player that can resist pressure. Pressure is surrounding in ezinto we've filled more especially with team as goal. It's a player that can resist pressure, can resist everything that is around the environment. Then another thing that I observe about equality, you must be a player that can think for a team. If the team is not doing well, the tactics that has been imposed by the team or the coach in the dressing room for 30 minutes has been not working. You say to the team, come closer. I've seen that. This is how we can do the things now. The tactics of the coach have been blend for long now. We spend more than 30 minutes into the field. So this is how we can break this opposition. Someone that the team they can believe in when he speaks, and they can trust, they can communicate and make something out of nothing. When the plans of the coach and the tactics are not going their way, they can stick down and then come up with something and create the goal scoring opportunities and get away with the 3 points or get the cup. And other things in the end is Jongayo, Umdotingayo, which is the thinker, is also technically good. You must be technically good. Technique, I think it's one of the things that must be built from the development, because you can't develop a player that is old, that is over 27, 28. You can't build that player. That player has been matured in various type of the systems. So you need younger players that you can build those things. You build technicality. You build something to scan whenever you are around. You need to know who is behind me. You scan before, you scan after you receive. Always, more especially when you are a midfielder, you need to scan and make sure that you scan. You think when you receive the ball, this is the first pass. You can't lose a ball easily into the midfielders. So I think those are the things that need to be trained in terms of the quality. You need to be a good thinker. Decision making, you know how to slow out the tempo of the game. You see that, no man, we are running too much as a team. I need to slow down the tempo and tell the players, guys, we are running too much. We need to do like this and this and this and this. We need to make sure that we consolidate this way to make sure that we do better as a team. That's my observation about quality players. OT.
Ongama, when you're speaking about quality players, do we do enough to teach players that, like, as a country, do we have enough places where players can learn? Because when you look at a lot of the teams in the country, right, first division, PSL, SAP, academies, all of those things, is enough being done to teach players scanning, to teach players all of those things? And are we developing enough of the players intentionally, or is it just luck?
I think it's done in the development. Always, when you start football, it's something because we are people that are always in football. You are always told in football, scan before you receive. You scan before.
Oh, Ongam.
There we go. You pass stages. You teach the players to scan, because it's one thing you can't receive under pressure and lose the ball easily. Those are the silly mistakes. You can't do those things. These are the silly mistakes. So I think it's something that is done in OT. Most of the players that are good in development structures, that know how to read the game and know how to do the things. More especially if you observe European players, a European player can lose the ball easily. There's less chances you can see. I can make an example. Alende, you can really see Alende.
Hey,
yeah. You can see Alende lose the ball just easily. You can't see Abo Ribeiro losing the ball just easily. So I don't know how to teach those things into the players of South Africa to make sure that they read the intensity of the game and know how to make good decisions. Because sometimes I usually see European players more better in terms of handling the ball. I also checked the players like Ukabelo Dlamini. When you see Ukabelo Dlamini, you rarely see Ukabelo Dlamini lose the ball and the decision making into the field. But it's someone that the fans cannot see his impact into the field of play. So sometimes quality is something that you can grow with and also train and be better as the time goes on. That's my take when out.
No, Ongama, thank you so much. Question for the comments. Is there a difference between talent and quality? There in the comments, just let me know if you guys, what you guys think. Is there a difference between talent and quality? Kumo, what's your thoughts about this? Well, what's your idea of what quality is?
Well, you just took away my train of thought, quality and talent.
Oh.
Gonna have to, no, it's fine. Mara, honestly, Oti, I think this thing is subjective. Let me tell you why. Yeah? First of all, for you in order to play in the PSL, I think that you have quality. And sometimes for your quality to shine, it all boils down to your team's tactics and your coach, what he does with you, with the quality that you have. Because, like, for instance, if you look at the top three in SA, right? Good Chiefs, anyone really who can trap a ball, that's quality for them. And whole level la pirate, anyone who can dance on the ball, that's quality for them. Rena go pirate, go Sundowns too. We need someone who's a complete player. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. We need someone who's a complete player. We need someone who has big match temperament. We want someone who can press, who can pass in small spaces, who can move the ball quicker, who can create chances and score. That's what we define as a quality player. But I can easily say that's what we define as a quality play for the team. You know what I mean? So, and yeah, Themba Zwane, I know you have him at the background, but he's a special player because he can do whatever. Because I might say quality for me is someone who's an egotistical player. Then my Nunu would say I want someone who can trap. Then Ongamu might say something else. And Themba Zwane meets every criteria that most of us here have on the panel. So my guy, as I said, it's subjective.
So Kumo, are we unfair on players when we speak about them being quality or not? Because like you're saying, big match temperament and things like that. I mean, you won't know what it's like to play for Chiefs until you play for Chiefs. You know, you won't know what it's like to play in an African game for Mamelodi Sundowns in Morocco until you play in an African game for Sundowns in you know, you won't know those things. Are we being unfair to these players to think that you come as a full package? Is that maybe a misconception that we have?
You definitely, it's definitely a misconception, and also you are being unfair because most of us here, we only watch some of these players when they play against our teams. Because we watch Sundowns regardless, even the same goes with Chiefs and Pirates. So we don't have enough data, or our brains cannot register, or, you know, our police is actually a good player. Had it not been for Hugo Breeze, where you're going to really see the quality that the police has, that's one thing happening. So again, guy, like, people were different. We look at different dynamics of a player. So to actually blatantly say, hi man, because I'm not a fan of Relemo Fokeng. Ne?
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but I've seen better person who can do what he does. And because of the system allows him to do what he does, so he seems like he's the shining star. And rightfully so, he deserves every flowers, every accolades, because he deserves it. But imagine if you can have someone like Samuel Zwane, which I rate better than him because I've got different perspective on how I see a player. So if he had to play in a Sundowns or in a Pirates badge, do you think or like Lena he wouldn't be shining? Because we've seen the way he passes. Because of he's got so much flair and finesse. And yeah, I'm supporting someone from Chiefs. So but yeah. So Ish my guy again. But I wonder if we can all agree and actually come up with a requirement or criteria for what makes a quality player, then this question it wouldn't be so hard to actually answer. But yeah,
because people say quality. I've been hearing the word a lot. And I just wanted to know, do we all understand it the same way? That's why man. What do you think it is? Because Mina, I'm not sure anymore.
I get about no quality in sports jargon. Like for instance, till this day, I don't even know what helicopter football is. Mara, go with the flow. People like to just throw away words, quality, humble, marawa e tsore fiwa e tsikhowa so o no bolela
Ah,
fela so
tlogela ti tsamaya. Hey, tlogela tio, man. Hey, Marukubo. Let me bring in Hansel, the concierge. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Mr. Oti Ntate Mokwena, compliments of the new year.
Oh, it was complaints just a few days ago. It might be complaints tomorrow at 7:30. We don't know. Hansel, tell me, what's your idea of quality? When I say quality player to you, what do you think of? How do you define it for yourself?
Okay, Mr. Oti. Just like the previous speaker was saying, this nowadays there are a lot of terms that are being misused in the football fraternity, right? I think for me, when you say a quality player, I think it's a player that plays in their position and do what is required from them by the coach. Because if you check, a lot of times coaches make players. For example, if you check how Pirates was playing before Rivero arrived and how Pirates players are playing now when Rivero is there, you would still know the same player was there, but he was not performing the same way that he's performing now. So for me, basically, in simple terms, a quality player, although I don't really rate the term, I think is a player that plays in their position and do what is required, the basics of that position that they are playing in. Yeah, regardless of whether they are being swapped around, playing as a right back or a center mid or whatever, as long as you are put in that position and you execute the basics of that position. For me, I think in general, in this general term, I think I would say quality, because you are doing what is required.
How much does hype play into this idea of a quality player, Hansel? And how much does that play into this?
I'm not really sure of that, but I think sometimes players can be overhyped in a sense, or you'll find a player that maybe okay, let me give an example of Tito. You see, the way Tito plays, sometimes he gets into other people's positions, right? Where you would find out, or maybe he's overshadowing other players that are playing in that position because he moves around a lot. Where the ball is, that's where you'll find him, right? So sometimes they might say Tito is quality because he was playing like in this position and this position and this position, and the player that is playing in that position, they might not say is quality because it's Tito, right? And even if he makes mistakes that the other player makes, they would say no, because Tito also provides assists, so the mistake is overlooked. I think also hype and how and which team you play for, especially in South Africa, especially if you are playing for Sundowns, Chiefs, Pirates, obviously you'll be under the microscope. You'll be scrutinized a lot. So I think also the team that you're playing for and how well known you are, also your PR. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I think those things are contributing factors, but yeah, all in all, that's my summation.
No, Hansel, thank you so much. Let me bring in Umainunu. Mainunu, welcome to the show. How are you? Mainunu?
How are you, buddy?
Hey, wait, sometimes, guys, your username. But it's fine. I'm good at you, my friend. Hey, tell me, we want to learn about what is a quality player. Now, hey, yazi, it achieves the full quality. What am I saying?
Hey, I'm not sure if I must go to the dictionary and Google and check out the name. But for me, I think a quality player is a playmaker. For my side, I think it's someone whom you can find in everywhere in the ground, but who's making everybody who can play with everybody. They know that that person possesses something in the team. He put in something in the team, you know. Just like someone was saying, like Tito Masongai, you know, when he's there, everybody will just put their eyes on the Tito because they know that he can like move around with the ball and make everybody to be entertained and then make something out of the team, you know. Just like Chambaswane, you know. Yeah, those are some of the people I can mention for me. You know, but yeah, he's a playmaker, if I can say like that.
Do you think that maybe we put players under pressure because we expect them to be Abo Tembazwane. Like Tembazwane, everybody says he's special. So if I just want special players at my club, am I putting some of the players that are really good under unnecessary pressure?
Yeah, I think we are putting more pressure on the players. I think we want the players to do miracles for us, just like this season. If you look at most of the players in most of the teams, most of the players are being injured right now. So you find that the ball or maybe the play of the team, the tactics of the team is changing. But seriously, you find that now because Tembazwane is not there, Rivaldo Cotia is not there, the style of play is being changed. And even on Pirate, you find that the ball that is being played is changing because some of the players are changing. They're not playing like Tembazwane, they're not playing like Tito Masangai, they're not playing like Rivaldo Cotia. So you find that maybe that's where the clash maybe is coming there. But for me, some of the players, I think we are putting more pressure on the players. We think that maybe players might do some wonders or maybe too many miracles because we tend to like to say Tembazwane is on this level, Mofokeng is on this level, Tito Masongai is on this level. I think it's on us as fans.
How much of quality is about your personality? So when I'm on the pitch and let's say, man, I'm not loud, I just go and do my job. How much of that personality plays into it? Are we always looking for loud players with big auras on the pitch and all of that stuff?
I don't think so. If you look at this guy, Mtutuoze Shabalala from Chiefs, he's a good player, if I can say like that. Not quality, but he's a good player. But you find that some of the teammates, they don't contribute to what he's doing. Just like the game they were playing on the weekends. The guy is working too much. You can find that the guy is coming in between the spaces, but you find that he's overworking, And Tutuoze Shabalala, he's a good guy. But when you find that the coach, he's not using him to his strength, if I can put it like that, The guy is good. He's finding pocket spaces, but the guy is determined to go. I can say him and Ribeiro, if I can say, but he's not on that level. But they are eager to scoring and they are eager to going into spaces. They are eager in scoring goals. Those type of players. For me, I can say that's the good quality player. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mainuri. I've got a question for the comments. I'm a striker. I score 20 goals every season. For the comments, I score 20 goals every season. I can't trap, I can't scan, I can't do whatever. Maybe I'm Pimenyimana and I've got 7 penalties and 13 tap-ins and I'm doing all that stuff, but I have done it consistently over 6 years. Can I be considered a quality player? That's for the comments. Let me bring in Wesh. Wesh, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah,
Ngimnandi Wesh. Wesh, naindaba. What is quality? Ngizwa abantu bakhuluma ngequality every day. Yini lento bakhuluma ngayo mabathi quality?
Ayikho nje quality uthi bra. This thing of calling people quality players, it does not exist in my books, Wonke umdlali needs to have technical abilities for whatever position abathi bayidlala. By technical abilities, this player can trap, can pass, those that makes a player, the player on stamina, uyakwazi ukudlala 90 minutes. That's one part, Then tactical ability has got nothing to do with a player. The tactics are for the team. The system is for the team. Putting people together, it's a responsibility of a team. Do you understand? Obviously, unabadlali who are more talented than the others, and the talented than the other, for me, it means tactically, your abilities tactically, nothing more than that, because izinto zokuthi yini enye okwazi ukuyenza, it depends kwi-team. Tefo Mashayamaite, Matoho made a good, at some point, good duo, because they were put together and it was working. You understand? Ubayisa separate, omunye udlala nomunye umuntu, nomunye udlala nomunye umuntu. Then it doesn't make sense, you know? Ubafaka ndawonye, it makes sense. Ubayisa separate, it doesn't make sense, you know? So for me, ngibona ukuthi teams have got a responsibility of making it work. Teams have got a responsibility of making it work. You go look for a player on a structure etimini, uyahamba uyofuna a player that is going to perfectly fit eduze komdlali lawo wakha khona, you know, ma une skeleton, uyahamba uyofuna abadlali abazodlala kahle together. And I think that's where we miss it sometimes, you know. You've got an Andile Jali and Manyisa. It worked perfectly fine together. You've got a Katsande that was not even great, but it worked at a particular point in time because he did exactly what was required from him at a particular point in time with people around him. Is he a great, amazing player? Not necessarily. But did it work for the team at a particular point in time? Exactly, it did. So I think we sometimes miss that responsibility. You've got a Themba Zwane that is good as a player, and a Themba Zwane that might not work maumdlalisa nabadlala bathile, who does not see Themba Zwane for who he is. Ozothi mayikhipha ngapha uthola ukuthi umdlali akayithayimanga ukuthi this is what he's gonna do. You put around him people that understands him, people that know that njengoba ebhekele le bhola uzolihlaba la, it works for the team. Do you understand? So every single footballer, because people train tactically, you need to be able to trap and pass. You know, ezinye zezinto they are built as for the team and at a particular point in time. Izinto ezifana ne-character, they are built. And I think that's what maybe Kaizer Chiefs fans want, is a character at this moment. Probably they want a character and a little bit of experience, because that also goes a long way, you know, with where you have been and things like that. Unabadlala bafana nabo, who is this right back at Sundowns? Motaung has been there. If you have watched ijourney Motaung akashisi namhlanje. Motaung has played midfield. Motaung has enjoyed so much go Black Leopards. And the Motaung you see today with the people that are around him, it looks like a marvel, you know. But Yena as a person, he's been through so much. That is why you see the character. The character has been built over the years and things like that. Teams have got a responsibility of making it work because abanye abadlali lucky Lehwati, you only needed what? You needed his leadership, nothing more. Because he couldn't give us much. But because you needed him as a leader in that team at a particular point in time, it worked for the team. You know, did he have much? Not necessarily. There were players better than him. That is why sometimes people go scout for a leader, not a player. They go out there, umuntu uyofuna umdlali, uyozifunela nje i-leader.
Do we do that enough?
A player, someone who's just gonna stand there and say, "Come on, guys," you know, things like that.
Do we do that enough, Wesh, in the PSL?
I don't know. I don't know, OT, because we want everyone to be like the other. Abanye abadlali bazele one and only one thing: to stand a center and win a loose ball, jump and head, and that's what you need a player for. At that time. So for me, I think teams have got a responsibility of making it work, but not taking away the tactical technical abilities of Abadlali. Mshishi is an amazing player. He scans, he does this, he's aware and things like that. Are all players going to be like that? Definitely not. Because you don't need Abadlala Bafana in one team. You need different attributes. You need Abadlala Bafana Nabo Hoto with, he's not an amazing player, but his work rate and his effort, his character makes him a better player. Is he amazing in terms of the technique, in terms of tactical awareness and whatever?
Yeah.
But the work rate has worked for him and it has brought him this far. And you put him around Abantu who are going to complement that, it works for the team. So it has to work for the team. For me, that's how I feel.
No, Wesh, thank you so much, Wesh. Let me bring in Tola. Tola, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Wenaka, good afternoon. Can I hear that, sir? Welcome.
Good afternoon. Can I? Yeah.
What is quality? What is quality? When I ask you straight, man.
Yeah.
What is quality?
Yeah. The quality is, it's very difficult to answer this question because I would say we've got, when we talk about players, we talk about players who have qualities. But to say a player is a quality player, it might be based on that quality that he has, of which with him having that quality, there are a lot of other things that he doesn't have. Because it's hard to get a player that is going to have everything. You understand? So what I'm trying to say is you've got a quality. You've got a quality right back. You've got a quality center back. You've got a quality midfielder. You understand? And then when you look at those players, you find out this midfielder, he can do this, but he needs someone else to assist him to be able to do that thing successfully. You understand? Like for instance, let me make an example about Rivaldo Kutsia. He's a Sundowns defender. I'm a Sundowns fan, by the way. I'm not sure if you know that. Okay. Rivaldo Kutsia, he was a center back playing for Ajax Cape Town. And he was regarded as a quality center back. But now, when you check, when he was playing for Ajax Cape Town, it was the most conceding team. You understand?
Yeah.
While he was there with his qualities, playing as a center back. So now, it makes it very difficult for me to say, okay, this player is a quality player. I would say this player has these qualities. You understand?
Yeah.
Does that make him a quality player? Because of certain qualities. You understand? That can make him a quality player. Now, the other question that you said, you asked is, do we have or do we develop these players? That is very difficult because you go to these development places where they develop players. They develop a player, but now I want to buy this player, and then from this player, I'm requiring something that is totally different from what he was developed for. You understand? That is the problem that we have. And then I remember there was a time that I was listening to, I don't know, we were talking with who, and we were talking about this thing of finding South African philosophy when it comes to football. You understand? So we cannot be able to get to those players. We cannot be able to develop those players here in South Africa because it's very difficult to develop someone for a very long period of time. And then you take this player, he goes to Mamelodi Sundowns, for an example, you understand, as a left back. You understand? And then now he is converted to play as an 8. You understand? Some of the players, because of their quality, okay, I'm contradicting myself here, because of their quality, they will be able to fit there. They will be able to fit there as number 8. You understand? However, this player was a quality left back, you understand? And then now you find a player that is going to be converted to go and play that number 8, you understand? And he doesn't do it. But he is a quality left back, you understand? So it's entirely up to an individual now to regard him as a quality player or as a quality left back. It's up to a person now. Because even like if we were talking about Mshish, you understand? Mshish can play as the position that he's playing as an attacking mid, you understand? And then take him and playing. He was there were times that he was struggling at Sundowns, you understand? When he's playing maybe more advanced as a false number 9, you understand? He struggled, you understand? But does that change him does that say he's not a quality player? He is, because he has those qualities that make him a quality player. So,
but then are we being unfair?
That's how I see it.
Are we being unfair in that, let's say Uthemba Zwane plays for Sundowns, which is a dominant team with some really good players around him. So when he goes into his dips in form, let's say, there's people who cover that and the team is generally successful, and we call him, like for example, he's injured right now. He hasn't played for a bit. We still call him quality, but there's a player maybe for a lesser team that is going through the best time of their life that we don't know, and we don't call them quality. Are we being fair?
Yes.
Now, some of these things live in our heads, if I can ask. Yeah. Now, some of the stuff live in our heads that Umshishi nimkumbula aso, therefore he'll always be a quality player to me.
We are very unfair. We are very unfair. Because remember, the reason why I'm saying this is these players, like for instance, take these players, or let's say you take Themba Zwane. You say he must go and play for Kaizer Chiefs, for an example. Do you think? Okay, he can be quality. He can be Themba Zwane, but is he going to benefit the team as he does with Sundowns? Understand? Because he has that individual qualities. Understand? However, now it's going to be a problem for him to develop the same results, to produce the same results that he was producing to Sundowns because of the surroundings. It's proven, you know, when it comes to Kaizer Chiefs, your team. You understand? We had Kama Billiards. We had the good players. We had Jose Torrealba. We had all of these players. You understand? But they didn't produce what they were producing from the surrounding of Mamelodi Sundowns quality. You understand? Like for instance, you go to Sesane. You go to Cesare, you go to Khoza.
I'm gonna just jump in just now. I just ask you to finish with that point there.
What makes them quality? Okay.
I just ask you to finish with that point there.
Okay. Now those players, we see that they've got qualities. They are good, but now what helps them the most is the surrounding that they have. You understand? We've got Khoza, we have Ronan Williams behind him. We've got Khoza, who's next to Grant Kekane. If he's not great next to him, he's next to Lebusa, you understand? He is surrounded by quality, you understand? So it makes it easier for him. Whereas if you look at him, Du Chabalala has to do it by himself, you understand? But does that mean he's not quality? He is quality. But now the surrounding is not the same. So that's why I would say it's very unfair to them. It's very unfair.
For time.
I'm saying it's unfair to them because yes.
I'm sorry. I have to jump in there. Kola, for time. Thank you so much, Kola. Let me bring in Malume Kutso. Malume Kutso. Kutwa tabayena bari quality. For you, what is quality? Welcome.
OT, how are you?
Gishapo man.
Ngapha ngaphandle khona abantu bathi bamnandi bafana. Boys, I have to go and join them. Anyway, OT man. Let it simple, Mr. OT. It's not overcomplicate. Quality player equal. Some players are better than others. You understand? And whether I test statistically why born or this player is a catch up of the rest. You understand? And this player possesses qualities that are necessary to play football, and he has mastered those basic qualities. You understand? Trapping and passing, scanning, movement across the pitch. Umnandi. You understand? And if I take it internationally, there was a time where it was impossible to dribble Virgil van Dijk. Nokuze abantu bathi asina quality of late, guys. Even back in the day, not everyone was a great player.
Yeah.
Let's not lie to the kids. One day we're gonna turn and say, nokuze abantu bathi, when you went to Golden Arrows, there was quality. When you went, I'm like, guys, it was never like that. I was alive. Guys, one day this generation is gonna tell and say, when you went to Chipa United, when you went to what's the other team, Richards Bay,
other team.
When you went to Makis, the corner came on the striker.
Makubu, Wonder Boy.
The corner of a Wonder Boy Makubu. And you're like, I was alive, guys. We're talking like that about those guys. In real time, it wasn't like that. But back in the day, Mr. OT. Equality we are born. You see the example that Rivaldo could see.
Yeah.
Even, and he wasn't really in a bad team, by the way. But anyway, even when the team is not as great, you can see which this player is better than others. However, the standard of players is so high that they can influence.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. OT.
Hey, there's a lot happening. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah.
But the influence that Thulani Serero had, the influence that we want from all players to say, you literally took a team that was good and you carried it, you understand, to a point where they almost won a league. They only missed out last day. And we saw Ajax come in to soup the player. They were like, okay, this is international quality. He could influence the team and carry. We're watching Urele right now, not as influential as Thulani Serero was to Ajax, but very close to it. He's making us take. And I repeat, Mr. OT, Rele is a terrific 8. Anyone who thinks the team is bending for Rele does not know that Rele is also bending for the team so hard, which are actually out wide.
Yeah.
And you can see of late, they're actually trying to push him in. Anyone who thinks, I heard Ukumo speak and I was like, hey, Agaz, anyone who thinks Pirates is bending for Orele, really is bending for Pirates more than you think. The time will come where you understand. So certain players, even like with Mokwena, Ronwen Williams, we saw Ronwen thrive with Supersport, under Supersport game. And we currently see him thrive for his Sundowns, under Sundowns game. And we see him thrive for Bafana, which is also very different. I know people try and even Bafana, they lie in real time as well. Try and pretend as if Bafana is playing the same football as Sundowns. It's not. We watch these things. But Ronwen is thriving with Bafana. Ronwen thrives with Sundowns. Ronwen thrives with Supersport. All these three teams play different football. What does he have? He has qualities that enable him to adapt, and not only to adapt, but to also thrive in different systems. You understand, Mr. Oti? So certain players do have those qualities. Tebogo Mokwena is another one who can easily play as an 8, who can easily play as a 6, depending on the system, Nakon. And the coach, how strict the coach is, how flexible the coach is. But Tebogo Mokwena can adapt to different positions.
I want to ask you, Madame Kuzo, 2 questions. Do we as South Africans sometimes value certain qualities more than others? Number one, when we're speaking about quality players, do we value some things more than others? And then number 2, no, you know what, let me leave it there. Yeah. Do we value certain qualities over others as South Africans? And how does that come into this conversation?
It's not only South Africans. The answer is yes, but it's not only South Africans.
Yeah.
It's across the world. And it makes sense. The highest paid footballers are usually attackers. It's not just defenders. That on its own will tell you that the world prefers attackers attacking football more than defensive football. It's rare. I mean, when was the last time a defender won the Ballon d'Or? Was it Cannavaro?
Cannavaro. And even then, it was only because Zidane did the things.
You understand? Virgil van Dijk came close. He had a stellar season. But the point is, the world, not just SA, prefers attackers. But when you go to Ghana King, when you go to ESA, we also prefer a bit of flair, you know? And it's not only an SA issue. Even in Spain, Mr. Oti, yeah, go feel also chase abantu la. They are the best that they have. They want to see the brains. They are able to appreciate Rodri because he displays the brains when he plays the game. Which okay, see, I'll spread a manje since smooth aganji. He does it in a Spanish way. Italians will also appreciate certain players that are appealing to the Italian football way of playing. It's not only South African issue. Tina Vele samthanda umshisho ngoba uyashelela, Mr. OT. And I heard you ask which okay, some players asbaboni.
How much does hype play into it? Yeah.
Let the chips fall where they may. You've been dealt that hand. Play with it. I'm Mr. OT. You are born in a situation where you can't say, yeah, I wish being 17. You will wish forever. You have to deal with that situation. And almost all of those players who play for big teams once played for small teams. You understand?
Yeah.
So the players that Abu Tembazwane had to go and earn these stripes, Kubo Mpumalanga Black Aces. Abu Motaung had to go and earn these stripes, Kubo Black Leopards. Abu Mokwena earned these stripes, Ku Supersport. Even if you come to Pirates, Abu Kabelo Jamin had to earn these stripes, Kubo Bloemfontein Celtics. Makopa, who people usually lie when they talk about him, had to earn his stripes, Kuba Roka. Van Rooyen was a standout player. Stellenbosch. Spies was a standout player. Golden Arrows. I can go on and on and on and on and on. So the list is endless. To say, yes, we can say we have a bias towards bigger teams. But those players who are playing for bigger teams are spotted while playing for smaller teams. So you playing for a smaller team cannot complain and say, I'm not getting the same attention. Brother, the people who are playing for the bigger teams were in your position and made the most of it. Let the chips fall where they may.
Last thing, very quickly, is that maybe what the problem is with Chiefs? Oh, okay, I'm going to use it. Is that maybe the problem that is with Chiefs? For example, we know I do, for example, watch-alongs of 3 teams, really. And when you're scouting players, man, you scout deeper. That's how we get some of the players that surprise us all that we weren't really looking at like that. Is that maybe a problem that maybe we are confusing quality for popularity, even as fans when we're speaking about the players, and even as teams now when they sign players?
Because you included Chiefs. So hey,
So I'm saying, Umthetwa. We really wanted Umthetwa. Really wanted him as fans. People are making a noise, Facebook signings, all of the stuff that we speak about. Then Chiefs brought Umthetwa on, and maybe he's not fitting 100%. He's doing better now, but he didn't fit 100%. Is maybe the problem that we are looking at those hype players when scouting instead of then looking at the guys that, we don't see. Mara, you now see them. Is that maybe a problem with Chiefs, maybe?
I would say, if Umthetwa, I don't think he's a hype player per se. I think he's good, Mr. Uti.
No, but I mean, there was hype around him. So the fans, for some reason.
Mr. Uti. I think Umthetwa is good, right? But I think they also had to look at what makes him as better. Because even before he signed for Chiefs, Mr. Uti, if you remember, I had already spotted a couple of issues with him. He really sits with the centre backs. He can hide with my centre back. I had seen him play for Bafana. I was like, okay, that's different from when he plays for Stellies. So if you were to sign such a player, yes, the hype is there, but you have to say, okay, he's good. But what makes him as good? There's, I don't know, Jaden Adams or whoever makes the job easier for him. You understand, Mr. Oti? Maybe find out which is he limiting himself or is the system limiting himself. For example, a player like Umakaula looks like he's terrified of the ball right now, Mr. Oti. But at Amazon, he was playing the ball. So maybe it's not necessarily an issue with he can't play the ball, but he's been coached not to play the ball.
Okay.
So yes, certain teams, I think Bankari shortcut, they just check on Facebook, which okay, brand awareness, Chiefs get brand vele, back or le ratang, plus lilona la hlupa. Once la decide or le batla player, you will not rest until the team signs that player. A police and phone. If been a police, the management would know which phone. I mean, for example, even a coach Nabi, you made it clear which phone coach Nabi, just like Umteto, you understand. So they understand which they have to please the brand, not necessarily the football. But I understand what you mean, Mr. Oti. But for me, quality players do exist. Singabi jealous, singabi fearful to say Nenkomo do exist. Thank you, Mr. Oti.
Okay. No, thank you, Madam Kuta. Let me go to Elvis. Elvis, welcome to the show. How are you?
So, OT, how's it?
Man, I'm good. Tell me, what is quality to you? What when we say quality player, when people are saying, we need quality players, quality, what does that mean to you in your understanding of it?
Well, in my understanding, it actually means a lot of things. There are a lot of things that need to come together for you to come to a point where you say you've found a quality player or you have a quality player. For instance, first things first, basics. Can you trap and pass?
Okay.
We start there. If you're not able to do the basics, you can't really go beyond and identify the person as quality. Or, for example, you've got a Peter Shalulile. He struggles to trap the ball all the time. He struggles to trap. But he's got other attributes that others might look at and say, no, he's quality. For instance, he's got that high press that he does. He's forever marking. He's running. He's got a lot of energy. And he scores. It's just that he's having a bad run of recently, but we know him what he's capable of doing. And the other things that you look at when it comes to quality have to do with after the basics, obviously, have to do with performing at the top level consistently. Once you're consistent, you gain experience. Once you gain experience, you become quality. Are you coachable? Is another thing. Because when we identify you, let's say, for example, look at that young defender at Sundowns, Khoza. You can see that there's potential quality there, even a bigger quality later in the future, provided that he constantly performs at that level and is willing to apply himself, learn from his mistakes. We've seen a couple of his mistakes from the last two games, I think. But you can tell that with more training, with more playing, that boy is going somewhere. We all can see that. We cannot deny that. And you can tell that once he gets in that space, surely any team in Europe, he can go fit in anywhere else. Another thing that I think also involves quality has to do with the players' discipline.
Okay.
A lot of players, they've got talent, they're skilled, they can do the basics, they can do a lot of things. But then you find that they lack discipline. They're uncoachable. Even when they get advice, you can tell their attitude. Or sometimes even when you find that even in the field of play, things are not that day. Things are just not going right for them.
Yeah.
Just check the attitude, the way they play. They start committing unnecessary fouls. Maybe challenging the referee's decisions. They're just all over basically. And discipline goes beyond the field of play. It goes also outside the field of play. If you look at some of the lifestyles of some of these players that we look at as quality, they're very, very disciplined. Their training routine is on point. When it comes to their diet, they make sure that it's on point. They don't just indulge in anything that comes their way, that can affect the way they play in the field.
Yeah.
So when you look at quality, it does come to it boils down to a lot of things. But for me, my standout when it comes to quality, it's consistency. After the basics, obviously, consistency. Playing at the highest level. I'm talking of whether it's argument's sake in this instance, maybe we're talking the PSL, cup tournaments, CAF,
Yeah.
the national team, maybe if you're called up, and you still have that level of consistency that everyone can see, then we can say that, no, this player has quality. And also, one last thing that I wanted to mention has to do with your tactical awareness in the field of play. Are you able to read the game? Are you able to technically connect with other players? I heard someone else was talking about how Themba Zwane plays, that, Themba Zwane performs well when he's playing with players that are at his level. If he plays with someone else who's not at his level, he might pass the ball in a certain way and the person might not be able to read where Themba is going or where he's going to pass the ball. Now, a player that is technically aware and can connect with the rest of the team is able to read every player. Despite if you take him from Sundowns, you take him to the national team, or you take him from Chiefs, take him to another team, he'll still perform and is able to read the game. For me, all those things, when you put them all together, that's a quality player that you have.
Okay.
That's quality for me.
Dude,
so it's not just one aspect.
I like that. Would you say that quality is also influenced by other things? So, for example, if there was a player on the pitch that was the one maybe telling Zwane where to go, Tina, we're looking at Zwane and we're not looking at the players, the coaches that are telling them how to do these things. Do we sometimes overlook those type of aspects as fans?
Yeah, I think we do. We normally overlook at those things. I'm sure you've seen. I'll give you an example of Ronan Williams, for example. You can see that he is in charge of his defense. No one interferes there. He tells them what to do. Guys, I want you there. I want you there. Do this, do that. You get players that are sometimes on the bench that will indicate certain ideas, maybe to the players that are on the field. Or sometimes you find that sometimes the coach themselves, they tell those players that are on the bench, like, listen, when you get in, go pass this message to such a player, and they follow through on that. But as fans, when we watch and look at that, yeah, sometimes a lot of things they just fly over our heads. I think they fly over our heads. We don't get to see that. And I think to answer also this other thing that you spoke about, the issue of hype. Hype is not quality. We've seen a lot of players that are hyped a lot. And then when they moved to these big teams, like you spoke of Mteto, he was hyped a lot when he was still at Stellenbosch. But as soon as he moved to Kaizer Chiefs, I think he only had 1 or 2, 3 good games. After that, he just flopped. He disappeared. He went down for a while. Only now he's coming back up again. But look at the hype that was behind it. People didn't really look at him for what he was actually able to do at the time and what he would bring to Chiefs. But there was just this hype about him, and people crazy about him. I remember the news headlines in whichever newspaper you'd open, or even on the socials, they were all talking about Mteto. But as soon as he moved in, we expected big things from him, and they never really happened. So hype is a bit of a problem, and especially when it gets to the player's head, it's even worse, because that will affect their discipline, the way they carry themselves on the pitch and off the pitch.
Okay. No. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Thank you to everybody that jumped in. I'm not gonna let anybody in after this. Thank you so much, Elvis. Look, if I can close off, it's a very interesting conversation, because when we speak about these things, we speak with such certainty. We speak as though, man, sonke se understand the lento sifunayo, and all of us understand. Or Harry beats a player in, the player's gonna. We speak with such certainty. But for me, guys, I personally don't believe in quality players. I think there's too many factors that affect what we deem to be a player's quality, that you can't necessarily roll it into one. I don't believe in the concept of quality players. I think there's players we watch, there's players we don't watch, there's players we perceive a certain way, and there's players that play in systems. I think that the idea of a really good player has changed, even from the past to the present. In the past, we used to view great players as mavericks. The guys who break the system, the guys who, out of the blue, umuntu gets the ball and does something magical with it. Abo Ronaldinho, Abo Henry. Sometimes you can even look at maybe a Lampard or people that really, man, defied what was happening within the team, and when you needed it most, they could do something. For me, I feel like the system you play in, the players you play with, the environment you're in, all of those things can make people perceive you as a better player than you are. And sometimes it becomes unfair. We spoke about player of the season, for example. Of the season, for example, where we said that, Ronwen is so incredible because he plays the ball with his feet. He organizes the defense. But we love those attributes so much that we forget that he's shaky on crosses, maybe. Or that other keepers might be really good at that, but they never get the chance to do it. You think about Ronwen at Supersport, he may have had flashes where they showed that he's got some ability in it, but when it's not exactly what your style of play is, then will you shine as much as something else? He didn't have the most saves last season, for example. I'm just using him for example. I'm not saying he's not quality before you guys say all those things. He didn't have the most saves. You look at a player like Aubrey Mudiba. Because we love the fact that Aubrey can invert and play the ball in the middle, we don't speak about his one-on-one defending. We don't speak about when he's put into the midfield straight up, that sometimes he struggles there. And I think it also comes down to also it being so subjective because it's what you hold dear. I asked the striker question on purpose because, guys, if I am a striker who's got no technical ability, but I score 20 goals every season without fail, I've got 20 goals. Why would you rank me below another guy who's got all the skills, traps the ball, Kiganalo, it's fine, press resistant, 5 goals. Why would you rank that guy over me if not for you don't value what I do? I can never tell you. If you ever see anybody who knows me in the group or whatever, you'll never hear me speaking about transfers and all of those things because I will tell you I don't know enough. That's another part. I don't know enough. Sanele Barnes last year had the most chances created of any player in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Sanele Barnes might only be getting his flowers or people seeing him because he plays for Stellies now. But last season, when he had made it into that final 3, I think it was final 3 for midfielder, everybody was like, Barnes. So does that make him not a quality player because he plays for Richards Bay team that was number 15, even though he was doing the job? When we speak of some of our favorite players and the players that we like, sometimes we tend to focus more on their strengths and their weaknesses. Then you speak about somebody else and then we look at their weaknesses and that is what defines the player. Then we say, no, is this guy quality? Is that guy quality? No, he's not quality. He's not this. The Mfukeng example was great. Mfukeng, super talented player. But if we're being 100% honest, he sometimes disappears in games. He can play in one speed. And I'm not trying to down the player. But now you look at, let's say, M2, ball at his feet all the time, trying to make the puzzle, trying to do all the stuff. Not saying that is better. But you see how the two different contexts make it seem a different way. You know, I feel like this idea that I saw a couple of people in the comments speaking about, you know, players who are adaptable and all of that. There's only a handful of players, guys, that are adaptable and have everything and they're complete and they're this and they're that. Some of the players, especially in this modern era of football, are just really good system players. I remember Fabregas speaking about the difference between playing for Barcelona and playing for Barcelona and playing for Arsenal. He was like, at Arsenal, this is Kichimela, guys. We were running around. Hey, all of the stuff we were coming up with, all the touches and things, were all things that were just coming up on the spot. And when he got to Barcelona, Pep was telling him to stand here and stand there and stand here and do this. When the ball comes here, you move there. When the ball gets here, another player will be here. He said, if I'm not mistaken in the quote, he said that you could almost play the game with your eyes closed. And then, do we give those players more credit because they play for Barcelona than some other players? Do we think that these guys are adaptable and amazing or whatever? Or is it really there was a system that was created specifically for those players and they look incredible in it because that's exactly what you need to do. Chiefs right now, I'm just going to use an example of my team. Chiefs right now goes out and signs. They sign a ton of players. We've signed a lot of players in the last 3 years. All of those players, before coming to Chiefs, you would have thought are quality. You would have said that about Msimango. You would have said that about Titi. You would have said that about Cross. You would have said that about Mtetwa. You would have said that about Modi, Potsani. You would have said that about all of these different players. So now they get here and something changes. Does that now mean that those players are all of a sudden not quality? Guy goes from scoring 17 goals, can't even score 3. A guy goes from having one of the best defensive records as well as maybe one of the best leadership characteristics in the league to it being gone. Or did they go to a place that doesn't know how to use them, in a structure that doesn't work, in an environment that is not conducive to all of this stuff? That's why maybe you find a player come and go to Mamelodi Sundowns and you were a right back, but you're no longer a right back, you're a right wing back. Oh, you're a right back. Mara now, oh, you're a goalkeeper, but now you're playing the ball. The environment is conducive for what? That being built up or that being found in you and then amplified. So I think that's why I don't believe there is anything that for me rings as quality player, because there's so many things that come into this. And sometimes we even make assumptions. Sometimes we even say, hey, Mkhulise he'd kill it at Chiefs. Based on what? So, Yazdi, Tembazwani would be able to do it everywhere. Based on what? Oh, this player, man. Hey, I was the trapper. Okay, how many chances do they get in a game? For me, those are things that count and then make it look like equality or all of these things. But there are unicorns. I'm not going to say there aren't unicorns or really special top tier players that you can't replicate. But now, look at how we talk about now Tembazwane. I used him because when we speak about Tembazwane, we speak about a classy player. We speak about a unicorn. Nobody can do what he does. He's adaptable. He does everything. Can he tackle? Yeah, no. How's the finishing at times? No. So there's also that we value the things that we value. I'm not going to tell you that you can't believe that another player, hey man, we value what we value, we see what we see. And all of those things come together to give us what we know. I've said before that sometimes we are so susceptible to marketing, we're so susceptible to public relations, PR, we're so susceptible to all of these things that you believe right now that there's a manager in Europe who's 31 or whatever, the Brighton manager, who's top of his class, he's incredible, he's a genius, yet you have not watched one of his games. We believe that some of the players we're calling out, Apolis and all those guys, are incredible players. But how many Polokwane City games have you watched? If we're being honest. How many Polokwane City games have you sat down outside of Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns? Have you sat down and actually watched Apolis? What's the data look like? Just in your own mind, what does the data look like? Which is another problem, to end this off, which is another problem because it seems that some clubs listen to fans when they need to get... Why are you listening to me? Why are you listening to me tell you that Mtetwa is a good player? I've watched at most, 270 minutes of Mtetwa. Why listen to me? And then what happens is you get killed by those clubs that are not doing that. Hugo Bruce, when you say there's somebody who can find players and find class and find quality, Hugo Bruce will watch a player, bring him into Bafana, nobody will know him. He will click, then he will click the next day. Mr. Singh says, Apolis has proven himself internationally, he is quality. International is 4 games of the year, Mr. Sting. It's 4 games of the year. That man is probably playing what? 30 league games. If you look at the competitions, let's say 40 games, league-wise. Let's say 40. Let's round it to 40. You're basing your idea of the player off of 4 games. And we're saying that those 4 games are meant to be what tells us if he can play for Kaizer Chiefs. Do you get what I mean? And even that, we're basing it off of eye test, off of those type of things from a player that's playing with other, other Bafana level players. That maybe, and I'm not saying it's not him, maybe he's shining in that team because there's Hugo Bruce who's a coach who's done this for how many years? There's Abo Tebza, there's Abo Banban, Abo Ronwen, Abo Inin, Abo Reinas, Abo Banban, all across that team. And again, I'm not saying Apolis is good or bad. I'm saying, what are you basing that on? Because when that player arrives at Chiefs, for example, when he arrives at Chiefs, you're going to have to watch 30 plus games of that player. Now you go, Yazdi, maybe he wasn't as good as I thought he was. Yazdi, I get Komnandi the way. Yazdi, he actually can't trap the ball. Meanwhile, Umuntu, I'm not saying this is Apolis, but meanwhile, Umuntu was like that the whole time. You saw him 5 times a year and you thought that was perfect. Then there's the other side of it where coaches and teams are meant to then get the best out of players. I'm seeing here Osanel. They're meant to look at their teams and go, okay, because some of the guys we call Inkomo, it's because Lezo Inkomo are being asked to play things that are different to what they normally play or what they've grown up playing. Now we go, he's not adaptable, he's not this, he's not this. Meanwhile, the players that we are calling incredible don't have to adapt. They've been with the same team for 6 years. They've had a coach that's aware to craft things around them. They've had teams that are malleable themselves. They've had teams that understand them. There's a reason why players look great at Stellenbosch, for example. So all of those things for me come together. I just wanted to gauge. And I don't know, maybe the show should have showed us. I guess the game should have shown us that this conversation, sorry, I'm reading something. This conversation should have shown us that, hey, maybe Lento equality, we all understand it subjectively. So sometimes when we speak and it feels like it's one voice, we did quality at Chiefs. Equality and the quality and the quality of the next person is actually very different. You get what I mean? But anyway, let me see. It doesn't take 100 games to notice quality. My brother, on trials, how many games do they play? Well, how many players make it from trials? How many players make it into the team from trials? What's that percentage? And do you know what's another advantage of trials? What's the advantage of trials is that you go directly into that environment. So you are talking about a player, like I said earlier on, if we're saying that quality players play at Sundowns and Pirates and wherever, you're taking a player that's never played in those environments or those places. Nah, when he walks into Chiefs will be the day he walks into Chiefs. And then what we're going to do, we're going to put pressure on top of that player, on top of that, and on top of that player and say, Mara, we are quality, you are meant to do. Meanwhile, the truth is that we don't know up until. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I don't want to take too much time. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a watch along of the Chiefs and the Pirates games. So please join me at 7:30 tomorrow. And then, of course, I'll be dropping a lot of content tomorrow. So please check it out. Support. And if you can, please watch it on YouTube because Facebook is refusing to monetize me. TikTok, as we know, doesn't monetize that way. So the best place to help the channel out is to go on over to YouTube and watch over there. Guys, it's been incredible. Thank you so much for the day. I think it's another great episode that we've had. And again, it's not to say I'm right. It's not to say the panelists were right, but it's a place that at least we're having conversations where we've thought about things and we're going through things. And that is what this platform is here for. It's not European football. It's South African and African football that we look at here. And I'm not a former player. I'm not a coach. This is not super sport. This is not funded. This is not all those things. This is just me wanting us to have conversations together where we can speak to each other about this thing that we love, that's our football, and ask some deeper questions. Guys, it's been incredible. If you've not followed me, please follow me. Thank you to everybody that sent gifts. Thank you to those watching on YouTube. Guys, I'll see you then tomorrow at 7:30. Bye, everyone.